People who have appeared on dating shows. Naked attraction. First dates. What's it like behind the cameras? A girl I went to high school with was on Married at First Sight, and she said it was mostly scripted and edited to make her look super bad because people love the drama. Except, I couldn't tell it was edited. That's just how she was. Anyway, she's engaged again, so it obviously didn't make her look too bad. My ex was on Naked Attraction. Was super weird seeing him. Didn't recognize who it was until I saw his face. Watched it again just to see if I recognized him before the faces were revealed. Still didn't recognize him. A mutual friend told me he told all his friends that he was on it, so I guess they have all seen him naked now. Good buddy of mine was on a bachelorette-style show. He was drunk most of time. They used the lavalier mics to have Pa restock whiskey and replace kegs more than they used it to record actual audio for the show. It was interesting to see parts of his story being told as sweet and kind man. But as a good friend I could just see the drunk on his face on a lot of his dates, interactions. He ended up winning. They also NDA'd him to hell and he refused to talk about the show in any capacity until a year or so after it aired. Not me, but a mate went on dinner date. Had the date and the producers said they'd call him in the next few days after the winner had been chosen by the girl and they were ready to film the conclusion. They called him on a Friday night while we were in the pub, but they wouldn't tell him if he'd won and was going out or whether they would just be filming the rejection. He wanted to stay at the pub, but I convinced him to go back. Turns out he lost and after 10 minutes of filming spent the evening at home on his own. He was pretty annoyed. A friend was on the Irish first dates. She said everything took ages. They had to get there early and wait for hours to be called. They were told to take a toilet break during the date so they could be filmed phoning someone. This took a long time as they had to change microphones. Afterwards they had to wait around to be filmed talking about the date. They were given 20 towards the meal and had to pay the rest themselves. The taxi afterwards is just for filming purposes and drops them off around the corner. They have to make their own way home. I was at first dates in the Netherlands as a date for in background. You arrive at a large empty room with the rest of the background date people and then you have to sign some stuff. I couldn't wear color or a print. That was too much of a distraction. And the attention should be on the real participants. We saw the participants in the same empty room but we couldn't talk to them. Then we went to the restaurant, which was a small TV studio. It looks big on TV, but it was really small. There was no music at all, because they had to edit the footage later. They told us to speak loudly. The food was good and the waiters were really nice. Sorry for any mistakes. English is not my first language. Also answer the age-old question of, how can you be too shy to talk to someone in a pub, but so easily get your bits out on national TV? I did a car dating show when I was an actor in LA. It was fun and we did a lot of fun trivia games and such. After 2 hours they took me aside and asked if I was in love with the girl. I honestly said that I wasn't, but I'd be happy to be friends. For a long time I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't use my episode because I thought it was really funny. Turns out they only use the episodes where people actually fall in love with each other in 2 hours. That's a little fast for me. Edit. Now I remember, it's called Third Wheel. It was a blind date show. Seriously, it was fun. Just too soon for love. I was an actor in the 90s. Our agency supplied actors to dating shows. We had 3 people pretending to be in a love triangle, being sad and emotional and angry and whatever. And we watched a recording of it in our classes, including the 3 in question, laughing at the sheer, falsehood of it all. It was basically improv. I actually didn't know until then that the contestants were faked. I guess real people do apply, so perhaps they use a mixture of real applicants and stooges to pad out other episodes. Not me. But my best friend was on first dates. Dutch one. There was a lot of waiting. I think he was there for 4 hours in total. Had to eat a 3-course meal at 12 in the afternoon. What I thought was also funny was that the shot of them walking towards the restaurant is shot way before the actual date, so they are not walking towards their date. They just approach the restaurant and then go back to the waiting room. Had a non-actor friend on MTV's Next. In the early as one of the 3 suitors on the bus. I watched the episode and the banter didn't sound like him at all. I asked and he said, every single word out of my mouth was scripted. Not me. But a family member was on dating show. Did quite well, although didn't end up with guy. She had said that a lot of the personalities depicted for certain women were very much just cherry-picking specific scenes to portray them differently than they were in the house. She had also said they were confined to the house with very little opportunities to leave, essentially creating a stressful environment where tensions are likely to boil over. They had the opportunity to go back on the show in a different capacity and turn down the offer, so I do not think they would recommend it. It's a tad bit boring. I have to stare through the lens for long periods and constantly fiddle with the settings. Nobody ever asks how the camera dude feels. Teamsters eating craft services watching 2 21-year-old wannabe actors try to flirt. The ultimate in romance. Did you get the cream cheese for these bagels? so I've had the liberty of dating a girl, now an ex, who was on a dating show, and here's what I can relay from what I remember. 1. There are planted actors, actresses who act outrageously for added production drama in practically every show like this. 2. A large portion of fights, drama that happen are the cause of spread rumors from production to once again spice things up. 3. Lots of it is artificial. Even when the chemistry seems to go well between two people on these shows, they rarely end up together once it's over. Again, the biggest shock from her was how immensely planted most of these shows are. My coworker back in college was asked to be on this dating show. She said no because they asked her to sign a waiver stating that if she got an STD on the show she would not sue them. An STD waiver? What? My home EC teacher in middle school said she appeared as a waitress on one of the shows. She let us know everything is fake and scripted. I couldn't believe it. Can we hear from someone who was on Love Island? I auditioned for Naked Attraction. Took all of my clothes off. They took a few pictures. Never heard from them again. Got some free candy in the waiting room though. At least I am pretty sure it was an audition for Naked Attraction. Throwaway for obvious reasons. Was in Netflix's Love is Blind. What you don't see in camera is the lengthy talks between candidates, sometimes hours, which are just cut short on TV. There may seem to be no staff around in TV, but there are staff behind the scenes telling you what to do, which side you should stand, sit so camera is not blocked. And sometimes it is not really real, as there are times they would ask us to repeat a dramatic thing we spontaneously did for second or third shot for them to cinematically capture the scene. AMA if you have more questions. Late to the party. But I've worked at a marketing agency. We invented the story that a woman fell in love with a guy while he was doing promotion in a mascot costume of one of our clients. She said she don't know the name, only the brand of the mascot, but could for sure recognize him by seeing his eyes trough the costume. A nationwide TV show believed that story. Invited the girl and 3 of our mascots to their show. The girl had to take a deep look in each of the mascot's eyes and was able to recognize her crush, which was her long-term relationship in real life. Our client got free attention and a high-class appearance at primetime. I worked for the casting of an unnamed show. Oh my god. I have never felt worse for humanity. What got me were the truly sad people that just wanted a friend. This was a while ago where people would send in their physical pictures. It was brutal. I happily jumped over to gay male porn casting. Much more fun. I had a roommate in college whose best friend was on a dating show for MTV. I don't remember the name of the show off the top of my head. But the premise was that a couple who are having problems go on dates with other people and then have to decide whether they want to stay together or break up at the end of the show. They filmed the show, went on the dates with other people, and at the end they decided that they wanted to stay together. The producers decided they didn't like that ending, so they did a reshoot where they choose not to stay together. The couple went along with it and acted it out just because they asked them to. I knew a guy who was on Blind Date years ago. The only part of the story I remember was how much they tried to manufacture the drama. Apparently they were late to a session or something because they had to try very hard to get her to say something negative about him. And apparently when asked if he would do this again, he was like, hell no. He claims it was about going on the show again, but they apparently twisted it to make it sound like he really didn't like her. I never saw the episode myself, but that's my takeaway. I knew a guy who was on a Limidate back in the day. He said he did it just for fun. But he went into it with the intentions of acting insane so that he would end up on clip shows and whatnot. I mean, he actually was pretty crazy. But he really went nutty for the show, and they kept replaying his episode all the time. He thought the actual production was annoying due to all the waiting around, and he legit wanted to murder one of his fellow contestants. Not me, but my boyfriend's sister. She was on Rock of Love, that show with Bret Michaels from Poison. She said when she got there they were all trying to get them hammered before meeting Bret, and she wasn't down with that. I guess he noticed that and really liked that about her, and they ended up dating for a little bit. My boyfriend had lunch with him at his BF house. Pretty cool. And my boyfriend's sister said he was a really good guy. I don't know what made them split, but it's pretty interesting. Edit. I didn't realize she was actually on the first episode. Season 3. But she says she got eliminated because she wasn't okay with the whole getting hammered and drunk thing. Like I said, I'm just the girlfriend of her brother, so I only know some stuff about her time with Bret. An old teacher of mine happened to be eating in a restaurant across the street from American Idol. I forget which season it was in. But they came into the restaurant with one of the contestants who felt like she should have made it through, and Ryan Seacrest told all the guests to listen to her sing, and if they liked what they heard, stay. If not, leave the restaurant. My teacher said that they told every person there exactly what to do, how many exited, the hand motions and stuff as they left. Pretty much everything. All of it was fake. He said the only thing that was true was how terrible her voice actually was. I was featured on Dating on Demand. Comcast had an on-demand feature that had dating profiles. They had a tent set up at an event I was at and decided to do it. They asked a lot of stupid questions that you had to repeat and try to give long answers. Well, I was selected and my profile was set up, but they changed my sexual orientation and made me straight. I was kinda peeved, but in the end it was all for the laugh and I got a good one in the end. Have a few agent friends in New York. IDK about the dating shows, but they fully cast the top 28 American Idol contestants through agents way before the show is filmed. It's all fake bull. Not quite a dating show, but not far off. My best friend and her husband got married on Don't Tell the Bride. I was part of the bridal party. They were happy to be married for free, but the experience as a whole was terrible. Incredibly stressful. Lots of reshoots of the same conversation. Blatantly pushing specific outcomes for the best TV. I totally understand why they do it. But when we finally saw my friend's husband after 3 weeks of filming, he looked physically ill from the stress. My wife, then girlfriend, was subletting a room from a lady who was trying to sell a show concept where they interview 6 people, and a celebrity panel has to guess which people are couples. Wife got an amazing deal on the place, and lady used to take her out for really fancy meals all the time. So we did the pilot as a favor. We were each interviewed for approximately 3 hours, having to tell the same stories a few times over and over. I thought it was pretty fun, but I laughed when I saw the 2 other couples, both Hollywood beautiful while we were both grad students in engineering programs. Definitely looking our parts. Sadly, the show was never picked up, and we weren't even able to get a cut of the final version of the episode to see what it would have looked like. One of my friends was on one of those shows where a bunch of people lived together in the same house. I never even bothered to watch it after what he told me. The romances were all fake, and so were the fights. They had specific lines, told people where to stand, and even gave him props like fake bottles to throw. They didn't even live in the house. Basically just showed up for a couple hours a day for filming and then go back to a hotel. Ironically, he did end up hooking up with one of the other people on the show, but not the one they paired him with for TV. There has been a contestant in Germany who was a teacher and attended Naked Attraction. She got fired. I was paid $300 to be the mistress on Cheaters because an actor flaked. I got there and the second actor flaked, so I called my friend. We had to make out. It was so uncomfortable, lol. The third actor forgot we were acting, and when I called her a jealous breach, she pulled my hair down to the floor super quickly and then apologized like crazy after we were done filming. She said, "Oh my god, when you called me a breach I saw red. I almost killed you. Lol, fun times." My friend went on, but he said the girls weren't interested in him because of his acne. He found one of them physically attractive, but just wasn't feeling it, so he didn't ask any of them out. He thought they'd say no anyways. The host even said straight up to him that they said they didn't like his skin. Someone I know got voted out first on Naked Attraction. Felt bad for him. I have a friend who was on UK Blind Date in 2002. She definitely wasn't an actor. My next door neighbor was a girl on The Bachelor, and my mom was mad when she come home early because it spoiled it for her that she must not have been chosen. I was on one of the shows where they approach people in the street and ask if they would go on a date with some random girl. That's on the show. Then try to set you up. Had to sign a bunch of paperwork but was legit. Just extremely lame. I know a guy who worked on the set of Naked Attraction. One of the female contestants rejected a guy because his penis was too big, and the female host more or less concurred. My buddy said the guy immediately started popping a boner, and by the time everyone else noticed, he was full mast and it was clearly the biggest thing anyone there had ever seen. Obviously that footage didn't make it into the final cut, but it would have been amusing to be a fly on the wall. I got married in one of the first episodes of Don't Tell the Bride. I was the groom. The producers were ****King awful. Because it was the first season, they hadn't quite figured out the rules. What I couldn't do. They also lied to me on numerous occasions, manipulated things, tried to provoke me into angry outbursts on camera. I refused to play ball. I stayed calm, but in truth it was the most stressful 4 weeks of my life. I lost a stone in weight over that period. The final edit was also full of lies and manipulation through editing. As it was a BBC production, I had higher hopes. But it was a private production company who had zero ethics or duty of care. Would definitely not recommend it to anyone else.